Hello and welcome. I believe we're now being streamed live. I can't see it yet, but it should be here in just a moment. Here it is. So, hello and welcome. I have a fabulous guest today for today's Facebook Live for the Joyful Business Club. Today is probably going to be the last one we do on a Friday. I just wanted to mention before we started. And that's because I'm moving to a Wednesday because I'm doing some part-time work from next week. And unfortunately, I'll be working on Fridays, but it's a shame because I kind of like finishing these at the end of the week. It's a nice way to kind of have that segment, but I'm looking at changing them to Wednesdays, at least while I'm still doing this. So I mentioned I have a fabulous guest and she's waiting for me and going, goodness, Serena, when are you going to introduce me? So I'd now like to introduce Sheree Henley, who I first met through the Canberra Innovation Network. And Sheree is founder of the Good Life Builders. But today she's going to talk about automation. Welcome, Sheree.
Hello.
So before we get talking about, the technical fun stuff, could you tell everyone a little bit about your business and what you do?
Sure. So I work with families that have a person with a disability, and they're wanting more than just day programs and group homes. They want a job. They want a house of their own and choose whoever they want to live with, or live on their own if they want to. They want to do fun leisure activities, go away on holidays, all of those sorts of things.
Radical. How
We
dare
all
people
want
with
to do.
disabilities enjoy their lives? Aren't they meant to be miserable?
Okay, and so a lot of these families want to directly employ their own staff and not use agencies because they can't get the quality of support that they need. And they also want to set up their own company to employ those people, and they want to set up a board, an advisory board or a governance board to help run this organisation. So I help families to be able to do all of those things. I do that through online learning. So I've got a whole lot of online learning programs that you can do. And I also do one-on-one coaching and mentoring. And I have a number of other people that also sort of got expertise in particular areas. Like I have a partnership with a HR firm that cover all of the fair work stuff, and a accounting law firm that set up all of the legal stuff. And so that's what I do.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like it's really rewarding and that you're able to help some real people in need.
Very much so. I love it. And I should add that I have my son myself, Isaac. He's a well-known Canberran. He's a Canberra Raiders fan. He's a delivery man. He has his own business called Isaac Delivers. So you might, if you're a Canberra-based person, you might have seen him whizzing around in his little blue Toyota Yaris with his logo on the side. And he's a swimmer, and he's a neighbour. He's a housemate, and he's an awesome son. But he also happens to have quite a complicated disability, and he needs support 24/7, 365. So he's now living in his own place. He has a housemate.
You mean he doesn't want to live with his mum for the rest of his life?
Sick of me, so he kicked me out. And he's got a housemate who he loves. She's a young woman, doesn't have a disability. She's just fun, and he really likes her. And as I mentioned, he's got his job and he loves to go on holidays. We had a holiday plan for this week for him. Unfortunately, COVID has hit, but anyway, we'll try again, I guess, again soon. So I've done it myself with my son.
And you know what it's like, and I guess you must see the joy that having that independence brings to him.
It's so awesome. And that's what drives me. That's my why, because I know the joy that on his little face, and the joy I feel with from a well-oiled team that I've got, that I don't really have to manage them. I just kind of oversee. They are an amazing team that I've trained up and mentored, and now they're just totally get it, and it's really fantastic. And I've been able to do that because I directly employ them. I couldn't have done that if I had to use an agency. I wouldn't have had any control over any of it.
Fabulous. Well, talking about well-oiled, let's talk about how automation is part of your business strategy. Yeah. So, like, why automate? Like, why not just do things, old school? We've been doing things old school for many years. So why automate?
Okay, well, first of all, I was worried about automating because it's very important to me that I offer a personalised environment, and I didn't want to lose that. I didn't want to come across as being just how you get those standard letters from banks and they're wrong, they're not meant for you, and I was really worried about that. But I was also really worried about I can't do it. It's just me. I don't have anyone else working with me yet. I hope to someday soon. So it's just me, and I really wanted to focus on the people and really put my energy into doing the mentoring and researching stuff and helping people. I didn't want to have to focus on sending out emails and reminding people of events and advertising my services, and I didn't want to have to spend my time doing that. So I thought every time I kind of implement something, I think, oh, okay, what are the bits that don't need me? I have this thing where I say I only want to do what only I can do. so if someone else can do it, or if it can be automated, then that's kind of what I'm trying to achieve. So it's freeing me up to focus on the things that I really totally love doing, and also enabling me to have a really good work-life balance. That's important to me. I was 57, not yesterday, but the day before, and I thought,
congratulations.
Thank you. I am not so keen on working 9 to 5, 3 every day of the year anymore. So it's freeing me up and giving me time to go and do the things that I like to do. So that was why I felt that I could focus on the things that that were important to me with the people I work with, and not do just all of the other stuff that's needed to be done. But I don't have to be the one that does it, and giving me a much better work-life balance.
Work-life balance. I think you touching on something really important there, because I think so many of us can be addicted to being busy all the time. Like it's sort of, especially as new business owners, it's easy to think if you're not being super busy, there must be something wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, this has been very much. I think my strategic plan is always includes, how can it help me to have a more balanced life. And I was working as an IT business analyst prior to this, and it was huge government projects, and it was way more than 9 to 5, and I really burnt out. I was just tired, and waking up in the morning going, I don't want to go.
I never feel like that, not in the middle of winter when it's raining and foggy. Never happens.
So, one of the purposes of this business is A, to help others, but B, to help me and give me a good life too.
Well, thank you. And that's really, I guess that's the title of your business,
exactly.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So it fits in nicely with what your philosophy is all about, and creating some more of that balance. So I think we've talked a little bit about, why automation is so important, but how effective is it? Like how much smoother does it make your life?
So much better. Okay, so I looked at what I first did was I just looked at my diary and looked and wrote down all of the things that I did over a kind of a 2-week period, and I picked out just a few little things to start with around what I could automate. And I think sales was one of the major things, and just sending out emails that kind of nurture relationships with me and what I do, and trying to share some information that might be useful, and sharing resources. And So, I originally was sitting down and writing that email and sending it out to everyone, and having it, and that took a lot of time. And I went back over those, and I thought, yeah, I could automate those. So I went back to all of those emails, and I could see that there were some common threads throughout them. Introducing me and a fit picture of my family, and sharing some blog articles and some resources that people could download. And so I put together a series of kind of nurturing emails in my automation system, which is called Keep Pro. And some of you might have heard of Infusionsoft. That's what it used to be called. It's now called Keep, Keap. And so I put together these little emails in a series. So you can say, okay, after this one, wait 10 days or however many days, and then send out the next one. And if this send it out to the people that have this particular tag. So it might be a tag that's around an interest of a circle of support. So it doesn't go out to everyone, and I'm not sending out emails to people that are not particularly interested in that topic. So that's what I did. I went through what do I currently do, and I picked out the easiest thing I could think of to start with, and then looked at the emails that I was sending out, and then constructed this little series. They're the things that I've got, and I when I bought Keep, I signed up to Keep. I found it fairly intuitive, but it was a bit. I was a bit scared. I didn't have the confidence because I didn't want to be sending out 500 emails that were wrong and stuffing it up. So I found a beautiful lady who's based in Brisbane that can Zoom with me, and she does these done with you sessions, and she helped me set them up, and she videos it, and then I just go back every time I need to do something new. I just go back over that video, and I find it much easier now to be able to. I've got much more confidence as I've gone along with her as my kind of sidekick, and she's taught me a really great way of testing it to make sure it doesn't stuff up. And I've had some hiccups, so I'm not going to say that it's been perfect, but nothing serious at all. And she's been there to help me. So yeah, that's kind of where I got started.
So I've shared the details of Keep, Keap, into the chat for anyone who's interested in it. And I hadn't heard that before. And the thing that's really struck me about this conversation was the comment you made at the beginning, that you sat down over 12 days and identified all those tasks that you could automate. And I must say, this is something I struggle with too, because it's not just automation, it's also delegation. And sometimes I'm the sort of person who does things fairly quickly and I know what I'm doing. And sometimes I'm like, oh, well, it's easier, I just do that rather than worry about it. And I think that's a really great thing, actually, to consciously write down all your tasks you're doing and then go, well, what if I'm going to grow and not just being me all the time? I do need to be able to delegate. So what could I delegate?
Yeah, absolutely. And I teach that in one of my courses on the Lead Your Team project, because that's what happens. It's usually a mum that's in charge of the team, and she's usually doing the rostering and the timesheets and the payroll and leading team meetings and resolving problems when, I don't know, the back door falls off and it needs replacing or whatever. It's usually the mum that's doing it. And I talk to them about that, and they say, well, I can just do it. I know how to do it, and I can do it quickly. And my response to that is, you can't keep doing that forever. And, it's really important that you invest in learning to delegate smartly. So, and there's a process you can go through to make sure that those people understand what the task is and what they're trying to do and what's the first step and how you want to work together. Do I just go make a plan and come back and check with you, or do I do the whole thing and then ta-da, it's done? That's probably the worst way of doing it, but because you end up with something that's not quite right. But what are the steps along the way? And so delegating is an art form, totally is, because you are constantly fighting with, oh, well, I could just do this in 5 minutes, and when this person is going to take ages. But investing that time over time, wow, you don't have to do it anymore, and they do a good job. How cool is that?
Well, it's contingency planning too. Like if
Absolutely,
that
yeah,
mum suddenly, came down with a cold, for instance, you can hear
yeah,
my, raspy voice here. But this is, a fact that, people do get sick, hopefully not to
that's it.
COVID or debilitating sick, but people do.
Yeah.
Things happen unexpectedly. My first son was born 2 months early. I went off work much earlier than expected, didn't come back to that same role, just kind of went. For instance, and and sometimes you want to go on holidays.
Yeah, that's it.
Fancy that, in a startup going on holidays,
Yep.
and you want to know that other people know
Yeah,
how to do those tasks.
that's it. And in a way, automation is delegating to a system that and you set it up in a way that's reliable, and you can trust it, and you know that it'll keep going and while you sleep. So that makes me happy too. And it's been created by me. I'm the one that created it, so, and I can create it the way I want it to, and it just ticks away while I'm in bed asleep.
We were noticing this before, but I don't know if you've noticed, but you're not a 20-something man.
No. No, I'm not. And I would say to any 50 something or a 40 something, give it a crack. Don't be scared. There's people out there can help you, and it's not as hard as you think. Um, and the trickiest part is not the technology. The trickiest part is knowing what your processes are. If I, for example, I set up a webinar club, right? So I needed to really think through how often I'm going to run the webinars, how much I'm going to charge for them, how much would I charge for the membership, and just for an individual. I need to also think about how am I going to get out the recording to people, and who would I send that recording to, and how how is it different? How is a member different to a non-member? How am I going to send out those? So and because that you need to know that before you can then automate the process, and you'll find that if you don't really have a strong understanding of what the steps are. So I just get PowerPoint out, or a bit of paper and scribble it out and go for it. And your business, so you're halfway there, and you can find other people to do the techie bit. So I would say, don't be afraid of it. You don't have to be a technical genius. I know I said I was an IT business analyst, but that doesn't mean I know anything about IT really. What I did was analyze the business to find out what their needs were, and then go talk to the techie guys and say, their process is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. These people need access. These people do these steps. This is the workflow. You go and build it. So I'm not the person that builds it.
But it
Right.
sounds like you do have a really good strategic understanding about processes that you've carried into your own business.
That's right. Yeah. So if anyone's thinking about automation, think about what your processes are first, and then when you go to someone that's the technical genius, then you'll have half of the problems killed off. You'll be right. They'll be able to then just go, okay, this is what you need here, rather than them trying to figure out the steps on your behalf. So
Fabulous.
You'll be able to just give it a go. It's not hard. It's easy.
Give it a go. It's not hard. It's easy.
It's not easy. Actually, it's not easy. But it's you learn over time, and in the end, you think, that was easy, but not initially. I don't want everyone to think, yeah, I can do it tomorrow, because you can't. It's hard, but eventually you think, oh yeah, that wasn't so bad.
So is it a good return of effort in terms of the time involved and
totally,
the end result?
Absolutely. So, for example, I have a lead magnet. It is a template and a video on how to write a job advert, right? So I've got that being advertised on Facebook. I've got some Facebook ads. So that's a form of automation. So they just to run those. So I've set it up and it just runs. And then from that, then they would fill in their email address, and then that goes into Keep, which is my automation system. It captures their information, and it sends off the download and gives them access to the video and stuff. And then what Keep does is every week it'll send them a little extra email saying, how's it going? I hope that was helpful. Here's another tip. And by the way, if you want some more hand-holding guidance, I have a project that, and here's more information about that project, and that takes it to another page, and it's how it's all, it provides more information about that. And then if they decide, oh yeah, so after this series of emails, through the series of emails, they decide, oh, this woman, she's kind of solving all my problems. I reckon I might want to, join in on her. So all of that's automated, all of that kind of building relationships, sharing stuff is all done while I'm asleep. And then if they decide they want to do that project, then they could just purchase it straight away. But what I like to do is I don't enable that, because it's sort of a $2,000 and sometimes an $8,000 investment. I don't want to get the wrong client. I'm really good at knowing who I want to work with and who I don't want to work with. I know that I recognize the don'ts, the no's. So I want to do a face-to-face consult. So what happens is that they use the schedule. I have a system called Schedule Once, and that allows them to look in my diary, pick out a time that I'm free and they're free, and book a time. And then that comes into my diary, and I look at so I get up in the morning after all of the Facebook ads and the nurture emails have all been ticking along nicely. And I get up in the morning and I look in my calendar and I go, oh, I've got 3 bookings today, righto. So then I just talk to people about what it is and answer their questions, and then I sign them up if they're keen, and then I add them to the portal. I send them an invoice and away they go. And then once they're in, I've got a lot of kind of customer success automation as well. So, you've been in a month now, how's it going? Don't forget about this. You can book in times with my mentors here. Here's an extra tip that you might want to consider. Here's a bonus course for you. So I have all of these little automations that are going to look after them as once they're in, feeding them information that I think is useful, and they seem to be enjoying it too. I'm getting feedback all the time. So again, and also I've automated the gathering of feedback too. So I'm requesting feedback, and then they fill in a quick survey, and I've got all of that data there too. So I can tell what's working and what's not. So it really is such a help to have all of that there, and just be able to just wake up in the morning, check my diary, and do a consult, to do a discovery call really. And then the other things I do are the mentoring sessions. So I just do this discovery call and the mentoring sessions, and I'm not doing any of this other writing on constant emails and all of that sort of stuff, which is really time consuming, and it's repetitive. So if anything's repetitive and has the same kind of pattern to it, then yeah, that's a candidate for automating.
Well, that sounds like you've got huge successes. And what I can hear from you is that by automating the things that weren't bringing you joy, you're concentrating on the things
absolutely. that are. Joy, yeah, exactly. And there's great joy in just mentoring people. And I love doing that and learning from them. I learn from them too. They give me ideas, which is really super awesome. Yeah, writing emails doesn't float my boat.
So we have a few more minutes left. Sheree, would you believe the time is going really quickly with this?
Wow.
Do you have any examples of some automations that you've done?
Yeah, I do.
Give an example.
Can I share my screen? Is that all right?
You can.
Okay, so if I share my screen, let me just log into Keep. and go back. Okay. So if I go into Campaign Builder, so I've got all these campaigns. I'll show you the event reminders. Here we go.
For those of you who are just joining us, we've been talking about how Sheree automates, and in particular, she uses this program called Keep, K-E-A-P.
Okay, so this is the campaign, it's called, that will send out reminders, will announce an upcoming webinar, then send out reminders to people. And then once they have registered, it will send out the link to them for the webinar, and then reminders about when it's coming up will be sent automatically to them. And then afterwards, an email will automatically be sent with the recording. And then what happens after that is all of it gets reset and they get put back into the loop. So for the next upcoming webinar. So all I have to do is go into the set field values. So all I do is I put in the webinar date. So I go into this little box here and then I just put in the date.
So you do it literally from this view.
Yep, this is it. So to build them, all you do is just drag and drop something over. So for example, I might have let's see. I'll go through this one actually, and it'll give you a bit of an idea. So this is where I set the date, then I set the webinar name, then I set the blurb about what it's all about, and then I'll go in and put it's called a long date, but that just helps in the naming of it. And then I put the link to registration, and then what happens is I've also got it. This one up here is some reminders to me that I need to go in and do a couple of things. So you can set up tasks to remind myself. So I get an email and say, hey, you got to do this, Sheree, otherwise this is not going to work. So that is about setting up the field date. So there's a reminder there. It's time to set up the fields. So I do that. And then this is an announcement for the members. So members have paid an annual subscription, so they don't have to pay for individual ones. So I will set up, so the announcement will go out first after 28 days before the actual webinar. So let's open up this, and so here we go. So hi, and it has the person's name. Don't miss our upcoming webinar on, and then it'll fill that in. This webinar is free for annual members. We'll be making the recording available, etc., etc. So that goes out to everybody. And then it says wait 21 days. So every 7 days, these reminders go out. But it also knows that if someone has registered, then it will stop sending those reminder emails out. So they're not getting hundreds of emails. So they've already registered. They're not going to get the reminders anymore. So it knows by the tag. Yeah.
It's really confusing when you get these. Don't forget to register. Right. And you're like, did I register? I can't remember if I registered. And you go and you check your diary and it just confuses you.
Yeah. So when they do register, and this system integrates with all sorts of other ones. So it integrates nicely with Zoom. So if they register in Zoom, it talks to Keep and says, hey, this person's registered. So then Keep goes, well, I don't need to send them any more reminders.
And what about purchasing? I see they've got the product purchase there.
So that Keep enables you to set up order forms and where people can order, and then that talks to Stripe. I use Stripe as my kind of money system.
Payment gateway.
Payment gateway is the word. I couldn't think of it.
That's of course not. You're on the spotlight. Of course you can't think of things when you're being interviewed.
Payment gateway. Yes, I use Stripe. So Stripe. Stripe integrates with Keep as well. So it, a non-member will send out the non-members an announcement to say, hey, it's coming up. Here we go. Here's the announcement. And you can register here. So there's two parts to it. So first of all, you pay, and then it'll send you an email to say thanks for your payment. Now here's the link to register to the for the actual webinar itself. And then that's done through Zoom, and of course Zoom sends out all the reminders. And once they've paid and they've registered, then we're not going to be sending any more reminders out because it's talks. They talk to each other, tag the person so so Keep knows they've registered and they've paid, and away we go. So you can set up order forms in Keep. So let me show you an order form.
This is for if you want to get people to pay for it.
Yeah, that's it. So ECommerce, so order forms, and webinar. Where is it? Yeah, I've lost the plot, but anyway, I shall show you a order form for the webinar and your subscription. So links, and here is an order form. So it automatically builds them for you. You just put in the details and it builds this up. So you can put your first name and last name and your credit card details and place the order. And then it will send you a receipt. It does all of that automatically too. And
you definitely want to make it easy for people to sign up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very easy. Yeah. So that sends out all of the receipting and then you can then construct a series of emails to say, hey, thanks for registering. You might also be interested in this, this, and this as well. If that's what you want to do, you can do that as well. So I have also got, let me have a look, campaign builder, a lead your team email nurture. So this is where they might download a feedback template. So I've got a template that I have, and I've set that up in ClickFunnels as a lead magnet where they can download that. So the ClickFunnels does the landing page for me. So I can show you that. So let's have a look. Services. So let's have a look at lead your team. So here we go. So this is done in ClickFunnels. So it's what it's all about. So they'll fill in it all, and then they'll have a lead magnet that they'll download, and then you can send them an email, a series of emails saying, here's the training that you've downloaded, and here we go. Here's a little bit about me with a photo. Why you should trust, a little bit about me, how you can sign up to the Facebook group. And here's another one where I've got a picture of myself and my husband and Isaac, my son, and our team, and I give them a bit of a free gift. It's a quiz that they can fill in that helps them to understand what their leadership style is like. Then I've got another little email 7 days later, or I could make it 14 days. I can make it a month if I wanted to, where it's just a little blog article. And I'm reusing these chunks of content that are all over the place in in all sorts of carving it up and chopping it out. So I only have to do it kind of once, and I can leverage it in all sorts of other different ways. Yeah, so that's the nurturing email.
It looks very impressive.
And it's kind of fun. I kind of like doing it. And you just drag and drop the, if I wanted to do a campaign builder, add a campaign. Demo.
So we're doing one live.
Yeah, so there might be a form that they submit. You've created the form, they submit that form, and when they do that, then you apply a tag, and so that you know who's submitted that form. And then I want to do in a sequence of emails, and you just join them all up, and then go into the sequence, and then I might go, okay, I want to do 3 days, maybe let's make it 7 days later, and I want to send that out at any time, any day of the week. Save that, and then here's my little email. I join that up, and then I go into here, and I can create the email. There's all sorts of templates, but I just usually like to use the plain text one. I find they get through better. And then you can just put, whatever you want to say in there. Say, thanks for downloading my blah, 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 blah. Here's another thing that you might find interesting, and put all that in your email there. So it's really simple to just drag and drop. And you can just start off with really basic stuff. And I have someone that helps me with this, and they're called Bite-Minded Portals. So she's also really good at membership portals, but she's really great at Infusionsoft, or Keep as it's called now. And so Bite-Minded Portals, Heidi, and she's a 30-something, late 30s woman who's fantastic at this, and she really helps me nut out my processes together and how to bang out some some nurturing sequences, and test it, and away we go.
Oh, it sounds fabulous. Sounds like you've got some great automation happening.
Yeah.
So just one final question before we go. So what advice would you have to someone who is maybe thinking of automating but is a bit scared about starting?
Yeah, I would do that exercise of looking at what you do and writing down all the tasks that you do over a couple of weeks, and then working out what's your least favorite thing that you do, and it's fairly simple thing that you like what some of the things that I've just shown you, like booking in times and sending out emails reminders. So having a look at all of the things that you want to not have to worry about doing anymore, and just pick one thing and just start with that. Just this small, easy thing. Get some help on the technical side, like I did with Heidi, or you might know someone already, and get them to help you build it. And the Keep themselves have really great trainers as well, and they've got really great support. You can just get on. If you can't figure something out, you just get on the chat and they'll help you as well. So there's all sorts of help out there.
Fabulous. I really appreciate you sharing your wisdom in this group. I'm looking forward to hearing from people about how automation has then, how it's changed their business, how they want it to change their business, and any success stories. Sheree, make sure you share in the contact details, how people can find you. There may be people here in the community who are interested in the disability support that you offer, or ways to collaborate. As you know, there are always interesting ways that we can collaborate and work on similar things.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
No worries. It's been great.